This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Well, guys, we've made it to the end of 2024. This is a bit of a wrap-up show. You may hear a couple of others on this feed as we go forward into the last couple days and maybe a yearly review in the next week or two. But I wanted to do one myself, and this is not going to be a comprehensive one. There's too many moments in 2024 that it's really not feasible for me to go through all of them. The purpose of this show, where this is typically the week in review spot, I may touch a little bit on what happened this week, although nothing particularly majorly consequential, although we did get an announcement of, the Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes and a ladder match. There wasn't anything earth-shattering happening. I mean, we all know the earth-shattering Raw that's coming on January 6th is really where we begin again. But this is, again, a bit of a look back at 2024, give my thoughts on the year, some of the bigger moments of the year. I may even have a little audio so we can enjoy it together. I can't go too long on the audio because of copyright, infringement and the like. But I will be doing a little bit of that. And we do have some emails from listeners where I normally do the mailbag on Fridays. I couldn't do it on Friday because I was traveling for the holiday. But now that we're kind of back in the groove, although the time between Christmas and New Year's is like a black hole of time. No one knows what day it is. We don't even know what time it is. Supposedly today's Sunday, although I'm not 100% on that. Hasn't been confirmed yet. But that's the rumor. Today's a Sunday. So we've got a lot to cover as we really kind of reset our minds. Even if you're not a parent and you haven't gone through Christmas with kids, it's still a weird time. You're off work, but sometimes even if you go into work, no one's there, but you might have taken a week or two off or whatever the case. It's like nothing really gets back into full gear until after the new year. I would even argue the week after the new year. So what is that, January 8th or something like that? Monday, the 8th of January. That's really, to me, when things start to really reset. And it coincides perfectly with the edition of, January 6th. January 6th edition of Monday Night Raw that we're going to get, of course, in a week. 1 week from tomorrow, we'll get the massive Monday Night Raw. There is a Raw that's coming tomorrow night that I feel bad, again, for all in attendance, as essentially you guys are being used as a bit of a soft landing spot and a promotion piece for the following Raw that really everyone's looking forward to, the debut of Raw on Netflix. Huge moment for the company, no doubt about it. Landmark moment for the company, coming off cable television for the first time into streaming, full blast for Monday Night Raw anyway. And it's going to be a big show, as we know, and there's a lot to look forward to. 3 massive confirmed matches. But we'll get into all of this, guys. The emails, my thoughts on 2024, maybe a little bit of the current stuff and looking ahead to 2025. Just 1 second, but for those of you who have joined us over on Patreon, thank you so much. It's a great place to go, connect with other wrestling fans, not just of this podcast, but just wrestling more importantly. Check me out there on patreon.com/WWE podcast. There's a 1-week free trial going on there right now. You can also head on over to Apple and get an ad-free subscription there too if you're just tired of the ads. You just want to listen without having to skip through or just sigh every 10 minutes when the ads pop on. Great place to do it. And try us out. That's why we offer a trial, so you can try it before you buy it. All right. Well, let's look back on a year that, as I was going through, and I'll be honest, I had to go through other people's lists to remember all the moments, because a year in wrestling time is an eternity. Because as wrestling fans, and just I think being a human being in 2024, our attention spans are extremely limited. We don't have the attention span beyond a 12-hour period, no matter the size of the tragedy. Planes are apparently, South Korea just had a plane explode at their airport. 150 people plus died. An airplane from Air Canada also had issues. One was shot down. I forget where it was in the world. I think last week it was. So 3 planes in about a week's time have had issues, many fatalities. And we're all just kind of going, oh, man, that's a tragedy. And we scroll through it on TikTok and move on. We may have a day or so where we get our attention's glued to it. It doesn't matter who shoots up a school anymore. It's a tragedy for a day or two, even a week at the very most, and then it goes on and gets eaten up by the news cycle. It doesn't matter if drones in the hundreds or thousands are flying above our skies with no answers from our U.S. intelligence gurus. It doesn't matter if a presidential candidate has 2 assassination attempts, and otherwise, that would be headline news all year. And in our day and age, it's headline news for less than a week. So I can go on and on with the stories of the year. Who dies? What celebrity dies? We all cry for a day and move on. All this to say, for wrestling, though, with so much content and the attention spans already shortened in our scroll through TikTok lives, wrestling for a full year, to go through it is a bear. I mean, to look back and go, oh my God, to try to cover every little detail, I can't. So if there are big moments, yes, I'm sure you guys will let me know, oh my God, how did you not talk about this or this or this or this? I just simply can't. I don't have the time. I'm limited in my recording window as it is. So I'm just going to go through the ones that I feel were some of the most impactful and historic moments that took place in 2024. So, you guys ready? I know I'm ready. All right, so let's start out with this one, and I'm not even going to tell you what it is. I'm going to be a little different tonight. I'm going to start with a little audio, and then we'll talk about it. So let's do it.
25 Royal Rumble will be my last. The 2025 Elimination Chamber will be my last. And I'm here tonight to announce that in Las Vegas, WrestleMania 2025 will be the last WrestleMania I compete in.
So he goes on, and obviously this is a much longer clip, but in the interest of, again, copyright issues, John Cena, Money in the Bank, announcing his retirement. And we're now on the cusp of seeing that retirement play out. We're on the cusp of seeing it play out. And the way that he phrased it was interesting. Yeah, I was very confused too, because I don't know anybody that's done this before where they're saying, hey, I'm giving you guys a 6-month heads up for a full year that you guys get to enjoy me. And we have our moments, and when it's done, it's done. It was just weirdly phrased, and I think many of us, like myself, are confused. Oh, so you mean WrestleMania is your final match and WrestleMania is your final? Like, we all think everything has to end and begin at WrestleMania, and that's not what John Cena said, and that was clarified in the press conference, and some people took some time to actually, including myself, to realize, oh, wait a minute, no, this is actually going to be like a year-long thing. And so it's going to be fun, though, seeing John Cena in the ring on a weekly basis, perhaps. But here's 2 things that I'm concerned about when I move into this. Number 1, injury. I don't need John Cena at house shows. I don't need him at every Monday Night Raw or SmackDown or whatever he ends up being on. Honestly, even if they told me he was drafted to a brand, I wouldn't believe them, because we all know how they treat drafts and how they respect the draft rules. They don't. So they're certainly not going to respect it for a star of the caliber of John Cena. And he'll go wherever the hell he wants to, and he should. I mean, I'm not even going to... They shouldn't even play the pretend game of drafting him somewhere. He's a free agent, and he should be. He should be able to come and go as he pleases. He's beyond earned that. So that's what I'm saying. My point, though, is beyond the fact that they don't need to respect the draft rules for him, not that they would, is he can come and go, and I don't need him on my show every single week. I don't. Even though it's his retirement year and the focus is going to be off and on John Cena a lot, I don't need him on my television screen every week. If he does that, fine. I'm just saying I don't have that expectation. And I also don't know if I want that expectation, because the risk of injury, as I've said before, does scare me with John Cena. The risk of injury at his age and the fact that he hasn't had that many bumps in the last 10 years does scare me, because his body's not used to it. It takes time to build that up. He can do all the training and simulation he wants, but once you get in front of a live crowd, as you know, and everybody knows, It's a different animal, different ball game, and you only really get the bumps on your body and get your body back used to that if you're in the ring doing it live in front of an audience. So that is my concern, that he gets injured. And what happens if he gets injured? Does he add time to the back of his retirement, or does he just, no matter what, call it quits in December 2025? Who knows? I would imagine he'll probably still call it quits in December 25, unless it's a significant injury where he's out. Maybe the back half, like the last 4 months, he has an injury and he can return for a final WrestleMania at WrestleMania 42. Again, I'm stepping 7 steps ahead, but I'm thinking ahead into a scenario that is not impossible. In fact, leaning towards likely that he gets injured because of the factors I've talked about. So the other thing is, with this run, I want John Cena to take it serious. So many times we see, and John Cena is at the top of the list here when it comes to being guilty of this, and others have as well, including The Rock. When they come back, they don't really take it serious. It's kind of half-ass, tongue-in-cheek. I'm playing my character, but it's not really me, you know? And you can tell that they're doing it with a smile half in their brain, like, I don't need to really do this. This doesn't really have any consequences. I'm not really invested in the product right now, and I don't need to be. Even though John Cena is one of the greatest of all time, and he is, I don't think he's the greatest, like Michael Cole tells us and demands that we believe. He's not the greatest of all time in my mind, but he's one of, no doubt. I want him to take it seriously in the promos. I don't want him breaking the fourth wall. If he's going to do this, he needs to be John Cena. I don't want him talking about, I don't want him talking about his retirement the whole time either. I know it's going to come up in a lot of the programs, and it's really unavoidable. And whoever he works with, CM Punk, maybe Roman Reigns, maybe The Rock. The idea, though, that everything has to be about his retirement, and I'm going to put you into an early retirement, and you're not going to make it to December, all these things that we're going to hear. It's going to be fine. But I don't want the whole thing to be about that. I want him to just be John Cena, the guy that we remember. If he's going to go a full year, I don't need a full year of the same kind of promo of talking about, oh, you're an old man now, you can't keep going like this, and we're going to put you into an early retirement. Like, I can foresee that, and I don't want that. I also, John Cena, on his side, as I said, want him to take this serious. So I need him fully invested in the John Cena character, ripping people a new ass when it comes to his promos, because he's so good at it. And I think we're going to all remember how good he can be. If you've forgotten, you'll get an education real quick of how damn good John Cena can be on the microphone. And when here's one I'm looking forward to. John Cena, CM Punk. It has to happen. There's just no way, right? To me, that is more enticing than Roman Reigns. We've already seen that, by the way. I don't need him. You remember he returned at SummerSlam 2021 or 2, whatever the hell it was. He already faced Roman Reigns. We've been down that road. I don't need either turning heel either. As fun as a John Cena heel turn would be, I don't really need it. If he doesn't do it, fine. I don't have the expectation, but I don't want him facing Roman Reigns. I really don't. They can have an interaction. They might have a little scuffle, but I don't need them having a full-fledged program. But CM Punk is one that needs to. And the question there is, who turns heel? Maybe nobody. But the promos. My God, the promos of John Cena and CM Punk. Just like the promos we haven't seen yet from CM Punk and Roman Reigns that's coming down the line, of the favor that CM Punk asks of Paul Heyman that he hasn't cashed in yet. That could have something to do with Roman Reigns or John Cena. Definitely could. There's so many fun possibilities with John. And it's not just going to be legacy talent that he works with. I think it definitely will be. For those nostalgic matches, I think him and Randy Orton are on the list. He and CM Punk are on the list. He and Seth Rollins, I think, are on the list. He and The Rock are on the list, I think, if Rock sticks around, and that's a whole other topic. But the most important thing, no matter who he deals with, please, I want John Cena to take it seriously. Because oftentimes when he tries to be funny John or breaking the fourth wall John Cena, and look how meta I am, look how in tune I am with me being the character, and look how cool it is that I'm playing a wrestling character, I don't need that John Cena. John Cena trying to be funny is the worst version of John Cena that can exist. I want the serious John Cena most of the time. That's my favorite. Of course, I guess wishes aren't being granted here out of a bottle. I don't have a genie, but that's how I hope it goes generally. So that's it's going to be fun though. January 6th, hell of a Monday Night Raw. John Cena will be there. He is going to be in the Royal Rumble, and I am going to give you guys the unfortunate news that the apparent 2025 Royal Rumble entry order has been leaked, and I've seen it. And I was debating whether or not to share it with you guys. I'm not going to. I'm not going to share it here. And for the simple reason is I don't want you guys skipping through the show and missing things. Or I also don't want someone who can't skip right now to not have to like, oh, don't ruin it. What are you sending, spoiling things for? And the reason I think this is legit is something like this came out for the 2023 or 2024 Royal Rumble, and it ended up being exact. So, and it looks legit. It leaked. I'm not happy about it. It looks real. Oh boy. And I will just say this, but John Cena is in the Royal Rumble. He is a Royal Rumble contestant. I will leave it there because if you want to go dig it up, you can. You can just search 2025 Royal Rumble leak, and it's right there on Google. I mean, right there. If you want to go check it out, be my guest, but be forewarned, I can't unsee it. And you won't be able to unsee it too, and you may end up ruining the entire Royal Rumble for yourself. So proceed with caution. I really do wish I didn't see it. The only thing I'll say about it, I'm not going to tell you who's in it, not going to tell you who the winner is, and it does tell you on this sheet who the winner is. It's going to be a very interesting Royal Rumble, a very confusing Rumble, at least on paper, literally on paper. I'm a bit confused as to the final entrant. Then I'll leave it there. So go look if you're interested, but I will not spoil it here because the Royal Rumble's too fun of a PLE and I may have screwed myself by looking at it. So again, proceed with caution. Anyway, looking forward to the Royal Rumble. Looking forward to John Cena's run in 2025. I think it's going to be just a blast. It's going to be a blast. So, all right, that's one big moment. What's another one? Let's listen.
Well, Liv Morgan is still the women's. Dominic, you sorry two-timing son of a bitch! This piece of trash screwed over his dad! He now screws over his mommy as well! A-Love brand. Rhea Ripley. Heartbroken.
All right, well, I think you know what that clip was. It's with Dominic Mysterio betraying Rhea Ripley. Now, many of us saw this coming. Many of us foresaw this with Dom turning on Rhea. Rhea obviously is one of the biggest baby faces WWE has right now in the women's division. And Liv Morgan, I mean, what can you say about her 2024 year? You go from just, I mean, I don't want to say obscurity, but pretty close to being women's world champion, having good matches to really good matches with, of course, that's a subjective way to analyze it, I know, but for Liv Morgan matches and Rhea Ripley, her and Liv working together for the first time in a real program, I think that this was definitely one of the highlights of 2024 when it comes to women's programs. One that I don't think had a lot of women's highlights, I have to be honest, but we'll get into more of that later. I think there's another women's moment, but big moment here with Dominic turning and kissing Liv Morgan at SummerSlam here and costing Rhea Ripley the Women's World Championship. Liv Morgan goes on and still remains to be the Women's World Champion. I think that's going to come to an end soon, and they're actually still feuding. I mean, this program is still going on, and this is in August. All right? I mean, this is, what was this? I think it was early August. Here we are. It's going to be January, and they're still having a program. Now, I have said that in the January 6th version of Raw, there will be a conclusion here. I think this should be it. I don't need Liv and Rhea anymore after this. It hasn't been the hottest thing in the world for the whole time from August to January. But there were times when it was one of the best things on Raw. It's definitely worn out its welcome, I think, at this point. We're all ready for it to conclude, whatever that conclusion is. Maybe it is Rhea winning. Maybe it is. January 6th edition of Raw with Netflix and all the rest and how big they're making this show. I wouldn't put it past WWE to make a change here. And where does that leave Rhea? I mean, we can talk about that afterwards, but if it happens. But this program has generally done a very good job. It's been a good thing for all three. All three. Dom, Liv, and Rhea. Liv being the most, I think, elevated out of the trio here when it comes to who's benefited the most, because Liv has, I mean, she's really just, from her promos, which I've always really enjoyed Liv Morgan's promos because they're believable. She doesn't have a promo voice, so to speak. She doesn't sound like she's performing a promo. She's just talking, and she's got that Zelina Vega vibe of just being believable. And I've really enjoyed her promos even before she got hot and aligned herself with Dom. But it's also amazing they've been able to keep this going considering the size difference between Liv and Rhea, which is pretty significant. I mean, Liv Morgan is 5'0". I mean, she's like Alexa Bliss size. And they haven't really played on that too much other than just she's had a lot of help to win. Which makes sense. Rhea Ripley is overpowering. And she should defeat Liv easily. And she's had Liv on the ropes many times, only to have Dom screw her. So I think this finally comes to a head. Blow off. This better be the conclusion. I don't need a Royal Rumble rematch. It's over. And I think it'll job well done. I would say bravo to all three. And in a story well told, and in a turn that, yeah, sure, it may have been a little predictable that we saw coming, but so what? Sometimes predictability, and I'll keep saying this because so many times you hear wrestling fans complain about it. Oh, it's predictable. Yeah, but like, if it's the right thing to do and they execute it well, who cares? If the only factor for you for something to be good is that it's surprising, that's a low, superficial bar to set. Because here's the thing. If your logic is it has to be unpredictable to be good, well, then I think that really would kill most superhero movies, or just movies in general, that most of the time you have the good guy win, right? If you knew in a Superman movie, Superman, if you said ahead of time it's going to suck because Superman in the end of the whole thing is going to win, well, then that kind of tells me how deep you're diving into the movies, or how deep you dive into what is a good movie and what's not. Same thing with wrestling. I mean, how can it possibly be that at the end of the day, if you know if you know the good guy is going to win, but to you it's more important that it's unpredictable for the outcome, then all you're doing is introducing chaos in a story. You don't really care about the story at all. The only thing you care about is being, oh my God, they got me, plot twist. I mean, that's all you've got. Now, sure, you can have really good booking that's also unpredictable. That's really hard to do. And I think at times WWE fans want both of those things, and they're very often conflicting, because most of the time we can kind of see where they're going. We just don't know how they're going to get there. So that's kind of the unpredictable part, is we don't know how they're going to get there. They're just going to get here. And more often than not, they do. But if you want chaos and booking that makes no sense just for the sake of something being unpredictable, then you are a bad storyteller, and you don't care about actual storytelling. You just want chaos. That's all. But anyway. All right, so that's another big moment of, obviously, Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. Now, this next one I don't have a clip for, but I do want to talk about it. It is a, I guess, what do they call it? A worthy nominee or a honorable mention. That's what it is. When Bronson Reed hit a tsunami on Braun Strowman on a car outside of an arena. I don't know where they were. It was on the Raw edition on the August 26th edition of Monday Night Raw. where these two just destroyed each other and continued to destroy each other for several weeks, which was a lot of fun. And that's been Bronson Reed's. I see I'm already getting it screwed up. Bronson Reed's MO since he came in, just destroying things, attacking people backstage, destroying things. That's all he does. He's injured, unfortunately, which does stink. He's not going to be at the January 6th edition of Raw, which does also stink. But we know that who and what Bronson Reed is now. That's what's awesome. And he's a destruction machine. And when he hit that tsunami on top of Braun Strowman on a car, I mean, it was one of those oh my God moments. And yeah, sure, it was ruined for me by a actual camera being inside the vehicle. I hate when they do that crap. I despise it. No one seems to care except me, but the fact is this was still a great spot. It was great for Bronson Reed. You know what? It was great for Braun Strowman, who has done what since? Dress up as Santa Claus? I mean, so yeah, this was a great thing for Strowman, even better thing for Bronson. And I'm looking forward to Bronson Reed's return. So there's an honorable mention that I'd really recommend you guys go and check out again, because it'll get you kind of excited for a guy to return that you never thought you'd be excited about returning at some point, and that's Bronson Reed. So this next clip does require audio. This next clip does, because it just needs it, and you'll see why. So let's listen to this. And I want to play more of this than I can, and you'll know why when you hear it, but it's just so worth listening to. So here.
Now, you want to come back? After you watched us fight for months, after you watched us argue to the edge of the cliff and the last thing left to do was jump, now you want to come back? E, you left us. I broke my neck. What do you mean? I've been doing my best. You left us, E. Yeah, you broke your neck. So what? Stone Cold Steve Austin broke his neck, and he came back. Kurt Angle broke his neck, and he came back. Edge broke his neck, and he came back. They didn't even have people here waiting for them. You had two family members who had the light on for you so you'd have something familiar to walk back into. And what'd you do with that, E, huh? Nothing. We didn't change. We didn't evolve at our own deficit for you.
No, I wish I could keep playing. I really do. I mean, it goes on in just for another few minutes here. I mean, I don't know what to say about this other than this is the best 2 minutes of Big E and Kofi's career. I mean, just out of the entire 10 years, they waited to the 10th year anniversary to have a highlight that I care about for their group. Right, the New Day highlight for me came at their 10-year anniversary. And we all knew that, and yes, we did all know that eventually Xavier was turning heel. He had been teasing it for weeks, months even. And we thought that it was going to be Xavier here that ends up turning on Kofi or on Big E, but it wouldn't be both. And it ended up being both Kofi and Xavier. And now they're getting massive heat, booed out of the building. The backstage guys won't even let them dress with them in the locker room. And blaming it on Big E. And really the quote, of course, is Kofi just saying, "You broke your neck, so what?" I mean, I'm complimenting Kofi Kingston. You guys know I'm no fan of Kofi's 14-year-old style humor that he's been showing us for the last decade. But this is a Kofi I can get on board with. This is an Xavier that I can get on board with. I hope this does end, of course, with Big E coming out of retirement that he was forced into because of his neck, and I do hope that he is cleared. Maybe he comes back at the Rumble that I've been predicting. Maybe it's WrestleMania. Maybe this is the beginning of a WrestleMania story that I think actually should be. Maybe, honestly, I hope this is a WrestleMania story. It's worthy of it. I just don't know where it lands because you can't have a handicap match. That wouldn't make any sense. So we'll see if Big E finds a partner or he ends up just zeroing in on one of the two guys. Hopefully it's Xavier. but I think this was just great. I mean, you have, again, you broke your neck, so what? Like, what do you mean, so what? I'm just like, it's incredible. And Xavier just shows how good he is on the mic. And it's just like, so you guys had him trumpeting, an instrument out for the last 10 years, shoving pancakes in his ass, and, shooting rainbows out of other orifices. And you had this guy behind all that. You had this talent behind all of the marketing material that you really just kept going for the New Day, and that's really the only reason you did, is because they must have been bringing in money for the company, and I understand that. But from a fan perspective, not a business perspective, it is a bit kind of infuriating that it's like, oh wow, okay, so this Xavier has been here the whole time, hiding for literally 10 years, and only now are you bringing him out. Now, they are bringing him out. That's great, and we'll see where this leads. But Xavier and Kofi both turning on Big E has to be one of the big moments of 2024. The Wyatt Six debut, it's really hard for me to even, I can't put that in audio form because if you remember what happened, they debuted on Raw, the June 17th edition of Monday Night Raw. Wow, that far away. Wow, it's been over 6 months since they came back or really debuted as a tribute group to Bray Wyatt. Eric Rowan and Uncle Howdy, Bo Dallas, the real brother of Wyndham Rotunda, Bray Wyatt, as the real kind of core soul of the group. And they had a hell of a debut, killing Chad Gable backstage, who was weirdly in a double storyline at that point. He had just been turned on by Otis, who finally had enough, and my God, he shoved him. Weird timing for that. It just didn't make sense. Now they're seeming to finally maybe get around to it. But Chad Gable looked like he had been murdered backstage. The Wyatt Six made a massive debut using the same music as Bray Wyatt, going through the same door of light, but really just a complete massacre backstage, and hell of an impact. And the VHS tapes that followed were, I think, a good follow-up. They didn't try to do too much magic and just nonsensical, beyond the pale of belief type of tricks and things. So that was nice. Really more based in reality. WWE also didn't try to insult our intelligence by telling us that these guys and gals like Nikki Cross are not Nikki Cross or Eric Rowan or Bo Dallas or Dexter Lumis. They actually decided to tell us that those are the people who was in this group. Like, they didn't try to change their names. I really appreciated that. So that helped in terms of the believability here. But I think they flatlined pretty quick. Like, real quick. I mean, within a month or two, it was just kind of like, oh, okay, that's right, the Wyatt Six are still here. So clearly they didn't have any long-term plans for this group. They just had a shock value type of plan, and then it's feel out along the way type of plan. That's clearly what it was, and I don't want to hear otherwise because there was like a month period where they just weren't even on Raw. So that said, it seems like maybe things are heating back up here with the Final Testament. But anyway, the impact here was massive, at least at the beginning, and it was a fun legacy for the Wyatt Six to play out for Bray Wyatt. Alrighty, well, this next moment is one that I mean, it has to be, in my mind, one of the biggest moments of 2024. And this is not a ranking, by the way. Ranking it for me is more difficult because it becomes more subjective and all that. These are just, to me, some of the top moments, all right? In no particular order, but if I was to rank them, this would be up in the one or two category. So, once again, just take a listen to this. So that was The Rock debuting his final boss theme. Now, there's many other moments that The Rock had. Him acknowledging Roman Reigns, I think, was definitely a moment when Roman, when he was still a heel, asked The Rock to acknowledge him, and he did. That was shocking. Now, this next moment, though, came at WrestleMania 40, and I have to play it. I mean, it's WrestleMania 40, and let's get to it.
John Cena for sticking his nose in bloodline business. Talk about WrestleMania moments.
All right, so Rock Bottom's John Cena at WrestleMania. We all know what happened after that. We had The Rock get chokeslammed by The Undertaker, which should have absolutely been Stone Cold Steve Austin's spot. The only saving grace is The Rock at Bad Blood when he returned, went on a rant backstage and directly made mention of Stone Cold, whose big face was on the side of a truck. So hopefully they make good on it this year with The Rock getting stunned by Austin. But boy, oh boy, I mean, I'm just still sour about that. Even how many months later, it was a total flop by Austin, who tried to chalk it up to a prior commitment, which is a bunch of nonsense. It did come down to money, but I don't think he wanted to put that out there publicly because it would make him look bad. Whatever the case, God dang. Perfectly set up for a stunner, and we get The Undertaker. It sounds like I'm a spoiled wrestling fan complaining about The Undertaker chokeslamming The Rock in 2024 at WrestleMania in the main event, but that's the way it goes. When you hype it up that much, and you have The Rock in the middle of the ring, and you don't hear Austin's music, you're like, what does also The Undertaker have any beef with The Rock for? I mean, I know it's cool for Undertaker for his closing chapter of his career and to put a stamp on his career and all of that. That's wonderful. But from pure selfish wrestling fan standpoint, I mean, Austin and Rock have a bitter rivalry. They had a rivalry that spanned 3 WrestleManias at WrestleMania 15, 17, and 19. And you don't have Austin come out at WrestleMania 40 and stun The Rock, at WrestleMania effing 40 in the main event. Damn. I mean, it's the only time I'll complain about The Undertaker chokeslamming The Rock in 2024. It's like, anyway, I'm still sour about it, and I'll continue to be bitter about it until we get Austin out there to stun The Rock. That all said, guys, yes, we went on, and we'll end with this moment. And I know there's a bunch else, but I do want to get to a couple emails. We had The Rock beating Cody Rhodes with a strap in the rain that was just perfectly cinematic. But let's just get to this moment. As much as it pains me to play this, and you guys know what I'm gonna put out there. Let's just do it because it's emotional to a lot of people. But let's just play it right now, and we'll talk about it and get to email.
Cody caught it. Rhodes middle of the ring. Crossroads. Cody's not done yet. Cody with another crossroads. Is he gonna do it? Can he do it? Is this the Rhodes moment? Come on, Cody. Crossroads. Cover. Finished the story. understandably overcome with emotion. We all are. We all are.
All right. And that's when I think Michael Cole said that, he loves pro wrestling or whatever. Great line. And he had Samantha Irvin, who has obviously moved on from WWE, but you had one of the most emotional calls, which, I give it. Look, I don't like Cody Rhodes, his character anyway, as you all know, but that moment is hard to not get caught up emotionally with the ring announcer who's very genuinely, that's the key, emotional about the moment. Michael Cole, very emotional about it. You had, half the locker room come out and celebrate it. You have Triple H come out, which is also really weird. It's because, he's the guy that actually, created the story here. He's the one who actually allowed this to happen. So it's kind of like you have to remove your brain here. I don't like when Triple H comes out and I don't know. I have conflicting feelings about it because we all know he's the chief content officer. So when he comes out and hands Cody the belt, it's just kind of like, yeah, I wrote this on a piece of paper earlier and now I'm just doing it. You know what I mean? It's weird because you have to really separate those things in your mind. That's not the point here, though. Hell of a moment. Okay, I can put the feelings for Cody aside. Hell of a moment, and it was time for Roman to drop the belt. It was time for him to drop the belt. And as we all know, what happened here with the storyline was The Rock was going to face Roman. Now, we don't know if it was originally planned that Rock was going to beat Roman for the belt, but that was going to be the story. But the fans forced it. The fans said otherwise, and that's what we have here. We have the fans really showing that when they get together and band together, that they can flex their muscle too. And it was a great moment, despite the fact I despise Cody. It was, and the crowd loved it. And what do I think about Cody's run since? I think it's been boring. It hasn't been insufferable. It's just been very boring compared to the build up to it. But so goes life, I guess. So those are some of my big moments from 2024. Yes, there's many more. How did I now talk about this promo, that promo, CM Punk? All I know. But it's just impossible. I'd be here for another 4 hours. So let's talk. Let's talk about emails here. Let's go to a couple of emails and we'll wrap it up. Let's go to Dino. He says, "What's happening? Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you. Just quickly before I get started, I have another recommendation to make. It's another true crime podcast by Wondrian novel called Kill List, and the picture for it is a red background with the words Kill List written in across the center. The words Kill List are also written over a woman who's in the background that spells out Kill List across her eyes. You get what I mean when you see it. Basically, it's about a tech journalist, Carl Miller, who is the host has its own podcast, who is based in London and conducts an investigation into a murder for hire on the dark web. With his team, an ethical hacker, they hack into a website and discover messages, crypto payments, names of other several hundred people on the kill list. They pass all this information they have to the police, who then pass it to Interpol. And some time passes with no action being taken. They decide to start tracking down the people who are in danger, and they feel they can't just sit and do nothing. As of December 2024, the Kill List podcast has led to 34 arrests, 28 convictions worldwide, and over 150 years in prison sentences. Okay, cool. I'll check it out. It's called The Kill List. All right. There will be no comments for me today on Raw, as my cable TV box decided for some strange reason to not record it. So I've not seen a single thing from what happened on Raw this week, which means I'm going to have to wait till Saturday to see the 1 hour version. All right. Well, yeah, you got some catching up to do, my friend. As well, also, you don't really, because Raw this past week, just like probably tomorrow night, won't have a ton that you're going to miss. It's really the January 6th version that all eyes are on. As Raw is a PLE level on January 6th, I was wondering if you're going to do a preview and predictions combined with the mailbag like you do for PLEs to give it a proper build. Well, how could I do preview and predictions for... I mean, I guess I could do it for the 3 matches that I know are confirmed. That's true. Yeah. So here's my predictions. Here you go. Ready? Liv retains. I think you have probably Solo Sikoa win. He needs a little bit of a bounce back from the loss at Survivor Series, and that'll retain his Ulafala. And I don't know if The Rock will be there, and I don't think he will. And the reason is because this match is not on last. The match that's on last is CM Punk and Seth Rollins. I think in that match, it's probably going to... This is a tough one. I mean, who's going to win? I don't know if it's as important as what's going to happen at the end of the match, at the end of the show. Maybe John Cena gets involved here. I know that he's in the Royal Rumble. I would say that Seth Rollins wins, but it's by some kind of teaser of a heel turn. So I think CM Punk does not win this match because that's the payoff. I think CM Punk probably loses, but only because Seth Rollins does something a little bit shady to win. And I think you could potentially see a Drew McIntyre-Seth Rollins alliance. That could be leading to that. There's my predictions. I don't think you'll see a big return. I think you'll see John Cena. The Rock is, to me, 50-50 because it's not the main event with Roman Reigns and Solo. All right. Is it me or just Braun Strowman look a bit like Tyson Fury? I'd been trying to put my finger on it, then it clicked. That's true. Yeah, Braun Strowman does look like Tyson Fury. Oh, I never want to see Tyson Fury in the ring again. In WWE, anyway. Lastly, having listened to the Weekend Review and you speaking about what happens if John Cena gets injured, maybe this is just a suggestion, but what if he gets injured, but it's a work? Let's say he gets, quote, injured at or just after SummerSlam in August or even in September and is out for 3 to 4 months. i.e. August, September to the end of January, and returns at the 2026 Royal Rumble and finishes up at WrestleMania 42, making up those final 4 months. I just don't get why you would have your final match in December right before the road to WrestleMania begins. It makes no sense to me, man. That is a weird thing that he's ending in December. Maybe it's because he doesn't want to interfere with the plans for WrestleMania and he's just bowing out and having his final WrestleMania, this year and doing a full calendar year. I believe him when he says that. I really don't think that there's a plan to deceive the fans that some feign injury and he has to extend his, go back on his word. John Cena's whole character is built around his word, built around his, trust, loyalty, trust, respect, all the things, hustle, loyalty, respect, I should say. So to me, that would, if it's designed that he's going to lie to the fans, I don't believe that. I hope not. But if it's real, maybe he does. All right, DJ. So, with this being the final mailbag, I want to mention some of the most memorable moments that I both enjoyed and scratched my head with what they were thinking, especially that Bayley title reign. Number 1, Cody winning the Rumble. The way WrestleMania 39 ended last year for Cody, with Solo hitting the Samoan Spike and Roman getting the pinfall, it was an obvious choice for Cody to win, since it was all Cody, quote, finishing the story. But seriously, though, could there have been another possible choice to win this year's men's Royal Rumble like McIntyre, Punk, or Gunther? Number 2, WrestleMania main event going from a proposed Roman Rock to a Roman Cody. I was on board for a Roman versus Rock main event instead of a Cody versus Roman because Roman versus Cody could have been booked for either Backlash or SummerSlam of this year, with Cody finally finishing the story. Roman versus Rock for the Battle of the Head of the Table would have been a major main event for Night 2. Since WrestleMania 40 was another huge milestone in WWE's long history of WrestleManias, I think Roman would have won that match against The Rock with no outside shenanigans. And, here's the other benefit we got. We got the best version of The Rock we've ever seen in this Final Boss. The Final Boss wouldn't exist without the Cody Crybabies, so we do have them to thank. Number 3, Punk and McIntyre. An absolutely entertaining feud that had really solid matches, especially the Hell in a Cell match from Bad Blood. See, these are the matches, guys, that I agree with you. I just didn't choose it for my show. Punk and McIntyre have in-ring good chemistry, and their promos against each other were top-notch. This feud brought out the best and most maniacal version of Drew, and we already know what Punk can do in the ring and on the mic. Plus, Punk did say in a promo in his first or second appearance in 2023, he is here in WWE to make money, and I have to say, this Punk-McIntyre feud was definitely a moneymaker. Only time will tell how Rollins and Punk in 2025 will go. That's the other thing. Drew is not just an honorable mention. To me, he is one of the top highlights of 2024, no doubt. So I'll add Drew McIntyre's just descent into a truth-telling heel into my top. I mean, that's one of my top three, most improved, if not the most improved wrestler, or surprisingly improved wrestler of 2024. Not that you really could do much with McIntyre, because he was already a really strong character that never has a bad match. But this altering of his character is just, it's awesome. Number 4, Bayley's world title flop. An absolute disgrace of a title run for Bayley after winning the Women's Rumble and defeating Io Sky at WrestleMania 40. Title reign has been an afterthought. Could some other female have won the Rumble instead of Bayley, like Liv or Naomi or Bianca, or returning Charlotte Flair if she wasn't injured long term? 5, Jacob Fatu and Braun Breaker, the breakout year. Both competitors coming from a family of wrestling legends had, I guessed, something to prove in carving out their own legacies. Jacob Fatu debuted on an episode of SmackDown from Chicago as he made a major impact with Solo's bloodline and being the one that brutally attacked Cody with a Samoan splash through the announce table. Jacob Fatu is definitely a major star on the rise for WWE going into 2025. And of course, let's not forget about Braun Breaker, who at least was randomly attacking individuals and causing Adam Pearce all kinds of trouble just because he was not included in the men's Money in the Bank. Then came his Intercontinental title run, beginning after he defeated Sami Zayn at SummerSlam, then defeating Jey Uso in October to become a 2-time IC champ. If Solo's bloodline were to break up due to the WWE transfer window next year with Solo staying on SmackDown, Tama Tonga moving to NXT and Fatu moving to Raw, I would definitely love to see a Breaker versus Fatu match and how a new IC champ in Jacob Fatu, do you see a new IC champ in Jacob Fatu in 2025? Doesn't seem so far-fetched. No, absolutely not. Anyway, keep it to 5. DJ signing off. So thanks DJ. And I can't disagree with that. Braun Breaker, big breakout. Bronson Reed, big breakout. Jacob Fatu, big breakout. No, it's really important that we see that, because that's how the blood of this business continues. How the momentum of this business continues is on the backs of younger stars that continue to build, and as the older stars get older and they start transitioning out, you have the new stars able to take their place. It's not rocket science. So, that's very much a true statement. And thank you so much, DJ. I don't know if we have anybody from our inside Patreon message system here. Let me look. We might. Yeah. Charlie says, what's going on? It's Charlie from Milwaukee. I hope everyone had a great, wonderful Christmas. I know I did. My dad got us tickets for the January 6th Raw, the Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, and WrestleMania. Damn, man. You got, okay, this is, Go Pack Go, and you need it in person. So first of all, by all means, feel free. When was the last time you've heard anybody co-host on this show? It's been many, many months, right? Because I can't commit to anybody, right? I'm just kind of this free agent that just can't commit. So, Charlie, not a homework assignment, but if you feel like sending in some notes, by all means do. But I can't commit to a time at this moment in time. I'm starting to settle down on the schedule, but not there yet. And we're also super jealous and hate you all at the same time for having all those tickets. All right, Alex, the French guy, final email here. I can't wait for Raw to be on Netflix. I mean, the card is stacked. It's PLE worthy, and I think Raw should be the biggest it could be. I am confident we'll see the People's Champ, the final boss, The Rock. My prediction is that Roman is losing to the Tribal Chief match because of The Rock. This out of the way, I want to thank the WWE Podcast for being a staple of my week for 3 years. Happy New Year. Well, thank you so much. Glad we can be a small part of your weekly or daily, depending on how often you listen, routine. And, I have been steadfast that unless the main event is Roman Reigns versus Solo for the Ulafala, you won't see The Rock, because it is confirmed that it's CM Punk and Seth Rollins for the main event. This Raw is so big that they may make an exception here, and The Rock may be a surprise return even in the middle of the show for wherever this match is placed between Solo and Roman. So I'm still giving it a 50-50 with The Rock returning. So it's still definitely on the table, given how big they want this Raw to be. It's just traditionally, when you have that kind of earth-shattering return, it's at the end of the show. And The Rock interfering in that match with Seth and CM Punk makes no sense. At least not at this time. All right. So I think that'll do it. Let me get to one. It's the Joe Hendry report, and then we'll close out the show.
This is DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your Mailbag Show. Record you live on a Wednesday morning, and you know what time it is. It's time to
say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
That's right, folks. Joe Hendry is his name. As I take you to my 24th episode of the Joe Hendry Report, it's the final Joe Hendry Report of 2024. And like always, I'm recording to you live from an undisclosed location. It is Christmas Day as I'm recording this episode of the Joe Hendry Report. So Merry Christmas to all our U.S. listeners and international listeners of the WWE podcast if you're celebrating Christmas. And I totally understand if you have to go to work, do what you got to do, because I also have to work later on tonight. But anyway, let's get to the Joe Hendry Report. Like I mentioned last week, Joe Hendry was nominated for 3 awards for the 2024 of the best for TNA's Pro Wrestling. And I did mention that he was in these 3 categories: Male Wrestler of the Year, Moment of the Year, and Match of the Year. The voting results are in. He did not win all 3 categories. He only won 1, and that was the most important one, and that is Moment of the Year. So Joe Hendry wins Moment of the Year for TNA Pro Wrestling. It's a landslide, as everybody was talking about Joe Hendry throughout the year on social media. And of course, the song, the catchy theme song, is just stuck in my head, and I think it's stuck in everybody's head. Say his name, and he appears, one of the most profound wrestling theme songs of all time, Joe Hendry. And let's see what happens as we now move into 2025. Let's focus on these 2 dates, folks. January 19th, 2025, it will be Joe Hendry versus Nick Nemeth for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship at TNA's first ever pay-per-view of 2025 in TNA Genesis, live from Dallas, Texas, as we could see that Joe Hendry will finally become a TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Now let's go to the second date, and that is February 1st, 2025, the Royal Rumble. That's right, the biggest PLE before we get to WrestleMania, before we get to SummerSlam and Survivor Series, the Royal Rumble. Joe Hendry has a chance of showing up as a TNA World Heavyweight Champion at the Royal Rumble. So February 1st, 2025, remember that date. January 19th, 2025, we could see a new TNA World Heavyweight Champion in Joe Hendry. This has been a great year for Joe Hendry. I hope you guys are continuing to say his name, to stay on the We Believe movement as we go into 2025. Let's see what happens, what's in store for Joe Hendry. His contract seems to be coming to an end somehow at the tail end 2025, and most likely he will show up full-time in WWE. Whether it's NXT or the main roster, he made appearances on NXT. Of course, he was at Slammiversary. I got to see Joe Hendry at House of Glory Wrestling in September of this year. Now, we all see what he is about. We all see that he has lots of potential and the people love him. He is so over as one of the most charismatic wrestlers in the game today. Also, I must mention that Inside the Ropes, issue 47, has Joe Hendry on the cover. He talks about, of course, his breakthrough year of 2024, of NXT, of TNA. He also talks about John Cena and a possible one-on-one matchup that they may have in John Cena's farewell tour of 2025. Will we get that match? Let's see. Everything is pointing upwards for Joe Hendry. So I hope you guys are sticking with Joe Hendry, with the We Believe movement, as I continue to do these Joe Hendry reports to see where this guy's future continues to go. Now, as always remember to say his name. Always remember the words that Joe Hendry says anytime, any place, and any show. And most importantly, as we close out 2024, always remember to do this.
Wave your hands from side to side and say, oh, I believe in Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is so prestigious.
Once again, this is your guy, DJ Kuzmo. Have a blessed week. Be kind to one another. Stay safe, my friends. Believe and peace.
DJ, first of all, thank you for recording that on Christmas. I feel almost bad that you had to do that. And obviously I had no effect on that, but I still feel bad because it feels like that should be a day that no one does anything, right? We just spend time with our families. But if you had to work, man, I mean, you got to do what you got to do, right? You got to pay the bills. You got to, I don't know what your job is, but other than being a DJ, right? Like kind of self-evident, but I really don't know. So whatever you did, I hope it was a relaxing Christmas for you. And thanks for taking the time on Christmas to actually call in and continuing to update us on what Joe Hendry is doing and that he could become a TNA World Champion. He has won the Moment of the Year. That's a big deal. It's a big deal. And WWE does have a working relationship with TNA. They saw it last year. So, that is something that I still believe could happen when it comes to who debuts in the Rumble. That leaked list, I can't comment on. I'll just say it's possible that Joe Hendry still appears. It's possibly does. It's possibly doesn't. Again, this list that's floating around, which I will not share, you can go dig it out yourself, maybe total BS. Maybe total BS. And WWE is just laughing at this, going, yeah, this isn't, this is obviously nonsense. We're this is not us. Somebody just made this up. But there's some realistic elements to this. I will say that when you look at it, you go, oh, yeah, that order makes sense to that for all the little stories they want to tell. And then blank, 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 blank. And then blank person wins it. I'll leave it there. But Joe Hendry, I really do hope, is in the Rumble. And seeing he's doing big things over there in TNA. I know that many people laugh off TNA if you're a WWE fan. It's this small market. It's this, kind of, it's a small pond, big fish in a small pond mentality. But you know what? TNA, a lot of stars have come from TNA. I mean, AJ Styles worked in TNA for how long? And he came to WWE as one of the biggest stars WWE's ever produced, or rather brought in. I mean, he was already a star beforehand, so WWE can't take credit for that. But we've seen people come from TNA, and they've been around for a long time. So I really hope that Joe Hendry does eventually make it to the big time, because let's be honest, WWE is a much bigger organization, much bigger foothold in the pro wrestling space in the world. And so, yeah. But thank you so much, DJ. I hope you had a great Christmas. Hope everybody has a really happy New Year. And I know because some of you may not even hear the show until after the New Year. If you do, be safe. And I'll see you guys on the other side of the year, because I won't be recording a show until, I might be recording a show Tuesday. That I'll still be trying to do one, so that'll be New Year's Eve. I keep lying to you guys. I'm a terrible person. So I guess if you hear the show by the time I release it, which is Tuesday night, which most of you don't listen until Wednesday. So from all intents and purposes, this is the last time you guys will hear from me for this year, because I record on a Tuesday night and then you hear it on Wednesday morning, which obviously is New Year's Day. So please go ad free, guys. If you want to go ad free and get all these ads you've heard throughout the show removed, you can do that. And head on over to Apple Podcasts as well and get an ad-free experience. We also are on YouTube, and I'll be talking about the list and showing the list on YouTube. All right, so warning. If you want to go to YouTube and see some of the videos I'm producing, it's once a week or so. We also have another podcast called The War on Truth. If you want to go check that out, it's about culture, politics, not wrestling. If you want to go check that out. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Happy New Year, and I'll see you guys on the other side.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.